Hello everyone, this is Sumerian and this is episode 14 of building a toy box from scratch. And in this episode we are going to work on building instructions for our game. Now, instructions for the game I think are something that's really important. I know a lot of people are really, I don't know if they don't put a lot of effort into it or they don't think about it properly. But the way you have to look at it is, sure, you design this toy box. You know it inside, outside, upside down. You know you're supposed to go to that third door and do this and do that, do the other thing. And like this should be super easy for everyone. It should be simple to figure out. But new people haven't seen anything in this toy box before. They're coming in brand new. They have no clue what you want, no clue what your goal is, no clue what to expect. You have to give them some guidance, some instructions, some explanation. And so that's another reason I do a lot of my logic programming in sections, like I have my section over here. And before we continue on, I noticed the last few times we've tested that I push the challenge and the challenge doesn't actually start me over there. And I think I see the problem. Problem right here is that button. The problem is, and here let's just do this, and we'll take this because this logic gate is what's starting our thing, and I'm going to teleport. I'm going to teleport player 1 onto that checkpoint. There we go. That should solve that issue. And I'm going to get rid of some of these extra buttons I've got sitting around that I was using for testing. This one's still valid. This one, not so much. This one is how I'm starting those fires right now, so I'll keep that. Alright, cleared up a few things. Now, for instructions, I'm going to use a pretty common way I start toy boxes like this. And by toy boxes like this, I mean toy boxes that start right away with a challenge maker, which this one will. And so what I do is I start off with a simple message. I'm not going to do all the text in this video because I don't have the Bluetooth keyboard. I have a USB keyboard I plug in, which is, I've already got a bunch of stuff plugged into the USB port on the PS4 right now. So I'm just going to set everything up and I'll put the text in later, but we'll talk about what the text will approximately be while we're here. So what I do is I don't want a cutscene to begin right away in any toy box I make. I almost always want a confirmation text to pop up almost right away. And the reason I want this confirmation text to pop up is someone says load the toy box and they walk away to get a pop. Well, the toy box loads quicker than they're expecting. They come back. The toy box has been loaded for a minute. It went straight into a cutscene. They've missed half of your cutscene with your explanations in it. And they're sitting there going, okay, what am I supposed to do in here? This makes no sense. So I want my toy box to start with a confirmation box that is sort of welcoming you. Like it'll be like, welcome, blah, 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 blah. But the real purpose of that box is to throw up a confirmation text that's waiting for you to push a button to prove that you're there. So that's why I set this one text creator here to confirmation text. And that's where I'm going to put like some sort of generic welcome to blah, blah, blah. When you're ready to proceed, press a button kind of thing. Now the next message, because there's going to be some fairly good instructions for this toy boxes, I always give the player the option whether they want to hear the instructions or not. And that's because I usually have a leaderboard on these type of challenges. And there's some people who like to aim for the highest score on the leaderboard, so they'll play it 3 or 4 times. This is so they don't get super annoyed that they have to listen to the instructions every time. I give them the option. Do you want to hear the instructions? So this text right here is simply going to be a proposal text that will say, do you want to hear the instructions? Press accept to hear instructions, cancel to skip. And I do that a lot. And the cancel will actually do the skip. It's not just there to be pretty. So after that, if they select the instructions, we will go into the instructions. And in this toy box, the way I want to display the instructions, I have an idea already of how I want to do this, is I'm going to do it with confirmation messages. And a lot of the time with confirmation messages, if I have a few in a row I want to display, I'll turn auto display next valid line on, but that's not how I want these instructions to work. So I'm going to leave that off for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to, right now, the start is sending a message to that logic gate. I'm going to get rid of that. And we're going to send a start message to display text 1. And let's start linking this stuff together. Specific line dismiss text line 1. Display text 1, which is going to be, the first one is going to be the welcome message. This one is going to say, do you want instructions? Do you want instructions? Accepted will be yes, you want instructions. So we're going to display text 1. Now the canceled we will hook up later, because how I usually do this is I'll have a bunch of lines of text for the instructions. And the very last line will be some sort of generic line that will say, how well can you do? How many can you get across the bridge? That kind of thing. And if you hit cancel, it's going to display that last line of text from the instructions. See, how well can you do? That kind of thing, because it's still relevant. You skip the instructions, but it's going to say, how well can you do? And that's what's going to start the challenge, is once that line is dismissed. So whether you heard the instructions or not, that last line of the instructions is going to start all the rest of the logic. Fairly easy. Now, I'm also thinking that when the gameplay starts, I want to push this button, but I don't want to move the player into the checkpoint. Because this button right here, if we recall, is setting up the logic for our camera controls, our left and right, and it's also turning on our target camera, and I think it's resetting the path also. So it's taking care of a whole bunch of things. Now, once you dismiss this line, I want to start up. So specific line dismissed. So once you've dismissed the welcome, I want to instantly give you the camera viewpoint. Now the reason I took the checkpoint off there is I don't want to give you control of the camera yet, and if I put you in here, you will have control of the camera. I just want to give you the viewpoint of the camera so far. So, if you start the instructions, let's start thinking about lines. So you get the camera view up here. Do you want instructions? Yes. So the first line should again be a basic overview. Like, this is the gameplay. Could say something like, the jungle is on fire. Let's see, the jungle's on fire. You need to help the animals escape. So that would be line 1 on this guy. Alright, so what we're going to be doing, because I'm not using the use next valid line, and there's a reason I'm not. For a few of these lines, we have to find a way to pass the signal back to the text creator to display the next line. So what we're going to say is the first line is basically going to be what I just said. So once text line 1 is done, we are going to just send a signal into this logic gate, and the output of this logic gate is going to display the next line, display text 2. So text 2 is going to be something like, let's see, your job is to, wait, do I need to do that? I think. Because for the instructions, I want to explain move right to move the camera right. And at that point, we're actually going to move the camera to the right. over to about this trigger, or to this path point, and once it hits this path point, it'll stop, and that will trigger the next line of text. And then after that's done, I want to move it to the left here, and maybe all the way over to this one, and then that will trigger the next line of text, and then we'll do a few other things. So let us so if the first line of text is saying this is blah blah blah, then what we're going to say is, if that first line of, once that first line of text is dismissed, we're going to send an input into the go right circuit of the camera, which is gonna, as we know, start the camera moving this way. Once it hits this path, I want it to stop. But that's a path, if you skip the instructions, I don't want it to stop the camera the first time it gets there. So we're going to make this a little more clever. We're going to say that hitting that path point will send an input to this logic gate. And the input blocked, so only if the logic gate is closed, we'll send an input to this logic AND, which will, we gotta send a stop message. Which one is this? That's the stop message. So A, we gotta send stop message, and B, we gotta trigger the next line of text. But did I want to do that? No, I don't want to do it. I'm trying to think in my head order as we do this, and the first order is going to tell us general gameplay. So I don't want to send that signal. So what I want to say is specific line dismiss, text line 1, input, and the output is going to display text 2. And text 2 is going to say something along the lines of move your camera back and forth by moving the analog stick. For example, move right to move the camera right. And once you dismiss that text, then we want to move the camera right. So then we will send the signal to this input, and this guy is going to display text line 3 once we hit that point. Now, here's what we're going to do, is we're going to say, when we ask D1 instructions, only if text proposal accepted will we close this logic gate. And that is the only way the signal passes through to the logic gate once that path point is checked, or is hit. And we're going to do the same to the other side. We're going to do another logic gate with an AND. The input blocked is going to be the input. And we'll say that point will be the input to this logic gate. So we already know that this logic gate was sent a close. So if that logic gate closes, we will send a close to this logic gate as well. we will say, if that's complete, we're going to display text 4. Alright, so text 3 is going to say, move your camera back and forth by moving left and right with the analog stick. For example, if you move right, the camera will go right. And then you hit enter, and the camera's going to go right until it hits that spot. And then it'll stop and it'll display text 3, which is going to say something along the lines of, if you move your analog stick left, the camera will move to the left. And then once it's dismissed, and that was text line 3, we're going to do a left signal, which is going to do the reverse and then start it up. And we're also going to say this middle logic gate should be the one that is stopping things. It is. Good. Just double checking. So this logic AND will also send a signal to that stop. Now, after that, we'll do some text that talks about moving the townspeople, getting them across. You know what? Actually, and this is the thing with instructions, you really want to think them through, because I've already decided I don't want it to be that point. I want it to be closer to this point. I'm going to use this point as the input. And that one, I'm not going to use that point. I'm going to use that point. And there's a reason I'm doing this. I'm also going to change some other things. For example, I don't want that. That logic AND is going to do text 5. I'm going to have a text in between there. So text 3 being dismissed is going to go to the second logic gate, and it's going to output to display text 4. And I believe I have text 3 going to the left logic gate. Don't want that. I want text 4 doing that. And I'll explain in 2 seconds. Sometimes it's hard to remember exactly what I'm doing and talk about exactly what I'm doing. But the reason I did that is I'm going to have the camera move over here. It's going to say the line from text 2, which is move to the right, to have the camera move to the right. Camera's going to move over to here, and it's going to stop. And then what it's going to say is it's going to have a separate line that is going to say animals will start on this side and will attempt to run to the safety of water on the other side. And then once you hit enter, it's going to go to that logic gate we just pressed, and it's going to display text 4, which is going to say move your stick to the left to move the camera to the left, which is going to start the reverse function and start the camera down here, and it'll come all the way to over here. And then we're going to display the next line of text, and the next line of text is going to say guide the animals across guide the animals to the water to help them to safety. And then the text line after that is going to say something along the lines of move your analog stick up and down while the blue circle is over an animal to control that animal. And then we will say guide an animal all the way to the water to score points. And then we'll probably mention that they have 5 minutes to do it. So there's one more thing we want to do. I'm probably, see how right now I don't have that text creator set to next, and then at that point I have to start doing all these logic gates to call the next line, and I don't want to do that. But the reason I had to have it not auto-validate the next line is because I have that camera moving. But after text 5, we're going to leave the camera over here for a bit while we explain more. But there's a very important thing we have to do before the lessons are done. And we have to send another write signal. And that's because when you reset and play a path, it doesn't erase the reverse functions that you've been doing on the objects on the path. So now the camera and everything is headed left, and when we hit right, which is supposed to be our default direction, we aren't going to get a reverse signal sent, and it's just going to mess everything up. You're going to be going absolutely back asswards. So I could hit a right, or I could just reset the path, and the logic is all set up to be smart enough. I'm just going to reset that path when I need to and see how that goes. So basically, once what text do we have going here? That one is, the output is displaying text 4, and this guy is displaying text 5, I believe. So after text 5 displays, we're then going to go over to this other logic gate, or to this other text creator. And display text 1, and we'll also set that one up the same way. We're going to set this one up as confirmation. But this one we're going to auto display next file line, because we're going to have a few lines of text that we want to display one after the other without having to really mess with it. And the last line of text, for right now, we're going to say it's, let's say it's text line 4. So after text line 4 displays, we are going to send an input to this logic gate, which we know is controlling our entire challenge. It's going to start everything going. Now that logic gate, let's also say this logic gate is going to reset and stop the path. Get us all back to there. And one more thing we want to set is if text proposal canceled. If we say do not give me the instructions, we're going to display text 4, which we've just set as once text 4 is gone, start the challenge. So text 4 is right now currently the last line of our text. So after this, I'm going to put the text into these text creators with a keyboard, because it's just really annoying to do with the PS4. And in the next episode, we're going to, I think what we're going to do is we're going to tweak some of the terrain up here. But first of all, when we start, we're going to start some testing, because testing is a very important part of toy box building. I'm not going to do all the testing in episodes, because there's a common line among a lot of the toy box artists that if you don't hate your box by the time you're ready to submit it, you have not tested it enough. So I'm not going to subject you to that. Just rest assured that there's a lot of testing that is still going to be happening here. So that was us setting up our instruction logic. I guarantee once I've inputted the text, I'll record the next episode, and it'll be the first thing we will double check to make sure it's all working. but I just wanted to show you the fact that I have the logic set up so I can put instructions in and then run the gameplay once the instructions are over. You never ever want to feel like, oh no, I've programmed all this game and it's all attached to the challenge maker, and I guess I just won't put any instructions in, or I'll try to fit it into the challenge maker description and hope people figure it out. Instructions are the most important. Always leave a place that you can put them in there so you can really show someone how you want the gameplay to go. So again, this is Cimmerian, and this has been an episode on instructions, and I hope it's been helpful to you. Have yourselves all a wonderful day.